Welcome to the It Factor. We're Jemmy and I, exploring a new blog post by Mr. Len Kaplan, CEO of CDML, a managed service provider in Queens, NY, offering network management, voice over IP, and unified communications as a service, cybersecurity, compliance, infrastructure as a service, cloud solutions, and Microsoft 365 and Azure solutions. If you're a small business owner or manage IT for a growing organization, this episode is definitely for you. Today, we're doing a deep dive into an article that honestly should be on every business owner's security radar. It's called Rogue AI Agents, the hidden risk in agent-to-agent systems. Our mission here is to really understand this new kind of subtle and frankly insidious vulnerability that's popping up as businesses, especially small, medium-sized ones, jump into AI automation. We're moving beyond, the usual phishing attacks here. We're looking at machines tricking other machines. Yeah, and what's really key here is understanding this shift. AI isn't just like a research tool you mess around with in a browser anymore. We've really entered the era of agent-to-agent or A2A systems. These are environments where these autonomous AI agents are communicating directly. They're sharing complex data, they're scheduling high-value actions, and critically, they're completing financial transactions automatically, all kind of happening in the background.
Right. And A2A, well, it's probably happening in your business right now, even if you don't use that specific term. Let's use the examples from the article to make this concrete. Think about, say, a marketing automation tool you might be using. After it tracks lead data, maybe it automatically pings your billing system, tells it to create an invoice for a new client. That immediate back and forth, that's A2A. Exactly. Or maybe a more common example right now, the way people are using tools like Microsoft Copilot, it summarizes your meeting notes. Maybe you committed to buying 50 new laptops, and then it sends that summary with the action item directly to your procurement system, or maybe straight into your CRM, your customer relationship management system, to update the client record. It's all about convenience, speed. But it relies on this inherent trust between those systems, you see.
Okay, and here's where that convenience could have become a potential crisis. The core vulnerability is what researchers are calling agent session smuggling. So let's break that down a bit. What exactly is the session and how is it being smuggled?
Okay, so a session is basically the secure, dedicated channel, like a private chat line, that gets established between two applications when they need to talk. When your marketing agent talks to your billing agent, they set up this secure, temporary connection to exchange instructions and data. And that session is supposed to ensure that only those two trusted applications are involved. But this finding, and it's based on some really critical research from Palo Alto Network's Unit 42, it details how attackers are exploiting that trust. Session smuggling is essentially when a rogue AI manages to sneak malicious, unauthorized instructions right into that automated conversation.
Wait, hang on. How is that different from, a classic man-in-the-middle attack? We've heard about those for years.
That's a great question, and it really gets to the heart of the shift the article highlights. In a classic man-in-the-middle, the attacker is usually going after the connection itself, right? Intercepting network traffic to steal passwords or redirect data. With agent session smuggling, the attacker isn't necessarily breaking the network connection, they're compromising one of the endpoints, one of the AI agents. Then they use that agent's trusted identity to inject bad commands that the other trusted agent just accepts as legitimate.
Okay, so it's not someone listening in from the outside. It's like a compromised employee already inside the building telling another employee to do something wrong. And because they're using that secure channel, that session, the receiving machine thinks the instruction is totally legit. It's basically hijacking the trust within the session itself.
Precisely. Attackers are now targeting the logic and the trust built between these automated systems, not just, the firewall at the edge. And that's a crucial takeaway for listeners. Your security thinking has to expand from just protecting the perimeter to actually monitoring these internal communication flows between your tools.
Right. So the immediate question then for a small business owner listening is, what can a compromised agent actually do once it's smuggled its instructions in? This isn't just theory, is it?
No, not at all. The research points to three specific, pretty critical threats. First one is straightforward: stealing sensitive business data mid-transaction. So picture your internal HR agent talking to your payroll system. If that HR agent gets compromised while it's supposedly asking for scheduling data, it could slip in an extra command like, oh, and also give me the entire list of employee social security numbers or sensitive financial details, and just quietly send them off somewhere else.
Oof. Okay, what's the second threat?
The second one is triggering unwanted actions. And these can be really damaging. The rogue agent might inject a command into, say, a trusted financial system telling it to send a wire transfer to some unauthorized account. Or it could expose highly confidential client files, maybe dump them onto a public unsecured cloud storage spot. If your bookkeeping app is linked to your bank feed, that automated trust becomes the weak point.
That is scary. But the article mentioned a third threat, one that sounds even sneakier, manipulating the AI's context. Can you give an example of how that works? Why is that so dangerous?
Yeah, this is the really insidious part. Let's imagine you have a workflow, maybe a supply chain agent connected to a payment agent. A compromised supply chain agent might first insert a totally innocent-looking instruction, something like, update client profile number 456. Seems fine. But later, maybe hours later, it sends the actual malicious command, send $10,000 to vendor account X.
Okay. Why does that first step matter?
Because that initial benign instruction, the context manipulation, it allows the rogue agent to sort of preload false data or change system settings quietly. So when the payment agent eventually gets that fraudulent $10,000 instruction, it checks the context, the recent activity, and thinks, well, based on those profile changes I processed earlier for 456, this $10,000 payment seems perfectly logical. It makes the bad action look legitimate because the groundwork was laid beforehand, masking the attack. Makes it incredibly hard to trace later.
Wow. So this isn't some far-off threat. This applies directly to anyone using things like Microsoft Copilot plugins or automated email systems, QuickBooks integrations. Basically the stuff that makes a small business run efficiently these days.
Absolutely. So many small businesses are already using these deeply interconnected software as a service or SaaS systems, maybe without fully realizing the scope of those connections. You click a button, right? Integrate service A with service B. Boom, you've just created an A2A trust relationship. And the risk is if just one of those agents, one part of that connection gets compromised, well, data can leak or bad actions can happen across your whole setup, all because the systems inherently trust each other.
The convenience is amazing, we get that, but we have to see that the very ease of clicking integrate can be the front door for this kind of attack. We can't just tell people, stop using AI, the competitive edge is too important. So, okay, what are the practical steps? What can businesses do now to reduce this risk?
Right, we need actionable steps. And the article lays out a good framework. First, you really have to limit integration strictly to trusted sources and verified marketplaces. If you're adding a new plugin, a new service, verify its source. Is it from the official Microsoft Store, the official Salesforce App Exchange, or whatever platform you use? If it's some random third-party thing, well, the risk just shoots way up.
Okay, step one, vet your connections, like checking IDs at the door. What about protecting the data once it is moving between trusted apps?
The second step is absolutely critical for stopping major damage. Require human approval before sensitive actions. Even with A2A systems humming along, you need a human checkpoint for high-stakes stuff, like payments over a certain amount or sharing large batches of confidential customer data. Yeah, it adds a little friction, maybe slows things down a tiny bit, but only at those points where, real financial loss or reputation damage could happen.
Makes sense. What's next?
Third, you need to harden the actual communication between the agents. You must apply multi-factor authentication MFA and use strong API keys for all agent communications.
Okay, we hear about MFA for people logging in all the time, but MFA for machines. And what's an API key exactly in this context?
So think of an API key as basically a very complex, unique digital password that one machine uses to prove its identity to another machine it wants to talk to. If your two AI agents are communicating, they shouldn't just trust each other based on, being on the same network. They need MFA requiring multiple verification factors, and those API keys need to be strong, unique, and ideally rotated regularly. Basically, don't let your digital assistants use weak or shared passwords to talk to each other. And the final piece of advice here is always keep detailed logs and have alerts active for unusual behavior. If your invoice-generating agent, which normally only talks to the billing system, suddenly starts trying to access data from your sensitive HR database, that needs to trigger an immediate red flag, an alert. You need visibility into when an agent steps outside its normal job function.
This really sounds like a fundamental shift, doesn't it? It's not just about locking the front door anymore. It's about governance over all the automated conversations happening inside the house. And this seems to be exactly where Mr. Kaplan's firm, CDML, comes in helping businesses navigate this new landscape securely. Yeah, their focus seems to be on making sure small and medium-sized businesses can actually use AI effectively, but do it responsibly. Like, for instance, helping implement those detailed Microsoft 365 security and governance policies to control who or what AI has access to, setting up those clear boundaries we talked about.
Right, and they leverage tools that businesses might already have, like Microsoft Defender for cloud apps. That tool is specifically designed to spot this kind of suspicious automation behavior. It watches those internal chats between agents, looking for those weird requests like an invoice agent suddenly asking for payroll data and catching that deviation quickly. And crucially, they also help create the actual AI usage policies and the employee training that goes with them. Because remember, these agents often act based on initial instructions from people. So good governance also helps ensure you stay compliant with regulations like HAPAY, that's the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, or NYDFS, the New York Department of Financial Services, even when AI is mixing data behind the scenes.
So they're essentially providing that framework, that safety net that lets you get the benefits of AI without opening yourself up to these really sophisticated internal threats, protecting your systems, your data, and yeah, your reputation.
That really is the bottom line here. The incredible convenience AI offers, especially for smaller businesses trying to compete, it should never, ever come at the cost of control.
So if we were to leave our listeners with one final thought, maybe something a bit provocative about where this is all heading, what should be?
Maybe this. If attackers are getting good at training AI agents to trick other AI agents, how long before the security AIs become so complex that we, the humans supposedly in charge, get kind of locked out? Locked out of understanding the battles happening autonomously within our own systems. Really understanding risks like rogue agents now is key to making sure we keep control before things get potentially too complex down the road.
That definitely gives us something to think about. And that wraps up our deep dive into the hidden risks of agent-to-agent systems based on that insightful blog post from Len Kaplan at CDML. Remember, new blog posts from Mr. Kaplan and the CDML team come out every Tuesday and Thursday. They cover everything from cybersecurity like this to cloud solutions and more. We definitely invite you to visit cedml.com, that's https.cdml.com, and subscribe to their blog to get more content like this. And hey, if you liked this deep dive, if you found it useful, please click that thumbs up button wherever you're listening. It really helps us know what topics matter most to you. Till next time.